What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about 3 different grayscale trusts in this video. We're going to talk about LTCN, BCHG, and HZEN in that order. These are requests that are left over from the last live stream that we did a few days ago, or a couple days ago now. It is the 5th day of October. It is Sunday, right? The markets are closed, but this video is not to talk about the price action today. It's about the price action that's over the coming days that's coming, right? We're going to compare LTCN to LTC, BCH to BCHG, you know, those kind of things, and so on and so forth. Looking at this here, going into Friday there, you did have a nice kind of move up. Litecoin is coming alive, you guys. Absolutely it is. What's crazy is Litecoin is on the verge of the most massive breakout it's seen since 2021. Honestly, it's probably on the verge of the most massive breakout it's seen since 2017, and nobody's talking about it. No, I shouldn't say nobody's talking about it. There are a lot of you that flooded the comments talking about Litecoin specifically. I'll make an independent video for Litecoin itself, but we'll go over the dynamics that are attributed to both of these charts here. You know, I think that with the Zcash pump, right? Why is Zcash pumping? If we type that in, this is all relevant, I promise, okay? Based on search results from earlier October, Zcash was pumping for several key reasons, with demand for privacy coins being the primary driver. I don't think that's the driver, because Zcash is not the best privacy coin. Let's just be fair. Shifted toward privacy-focused currencies. Feel blah, 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 blah. Where is it? Hold on. That's not what we were looking for. Yes, they're all promoting quantum resistance. GrayScale, here we go. GrayScale Zcash Trust. The existence, I think this is why it's pumping, is because institutions are acquiring Zcash. The existence of this trust gives accredited investors a regulated way to gain exposure to Zcash, contributing to its price momentum. And I think that that's exactly why, maybe not just GrayScale exclusively, but institutions like GrayScale probably acquiring Zcash, that's why it's moving up. Because if it's for the fact of a privacy coin, why would institutions want a privacy coin? They have to keep it all public anyways. You know, like that just, it doesn't, and they wouldn't choose, there are better privacy coins out there. Anyways, I'm getting all caught up in the semantics of this. What I'm trying to say is that GrayScale is back on the menu because Zcash is a hot commodity right now. It's pumping. So because of that, might other GrayScale trusts be looked at? You know, that's the kind of thought that I'm offering. If people are looking up why is Zcash pumping, they might see that, oh, GrayScale's getting involved. Are there any other trusts that they do? Oh, they do. Wow. Oh, LTCN. Oh, and these are not ETFs. There's still a premium and a discount NAV price difference here we can play off of. Anyways, just that thought. All GrayScale trusts might be put under the microscope, or at least put on the radar for a lot of different investors that might not have previously been looking at it. Because again, Zcash, if we look at this here, it's been doing pretty well, to say the least, right? It's been doing pretty well, at least over this past week, up 140%. That's awesome. I want to put this back on Bitcoin though. Let's see, just so we have that price. It makes me feel safe knowing that I can see the price up here. Let's delete that. There we go. Litecoin, LTCN, GrayScale Trust here. Finally getting to work now. Weekly time frame looks very bullish, very positive. Okay, that's a nice weekly close that you had right there. That clearly is, in my opinion, a breakout candle right there. We're not officially breaking out, but the volume was above average. That was the most volume that we've seen really since August, the middle of August. And it comes in at a moment where it really does look like we're about to break out of this range overall. We might start off the week coming back a little bit, but I would expect that we finish the week and finish the month moving up higher. Absolutely, I expect that we move up higher. If we look at LTC here, this week, LTC is up about 12.2%. Last week, LTCN was up about 17%. So identifying right there that LTCN does move up faster than LTC. And I would expect that even though this is a 17% pump, and then for this week it's a 12% pump, and if you're saying, well, it's the weekend, it came down, no, not really. It's at the same price that it did. So 17 and 12% pump, let's just keep it simple, okay? I don't think that same ratio is going to carry on through this pump. I think what's going to happen is when LTC starts to pump, LTCN is going to pump even more, okay? And where's LTC going to go? I'm glad you asked. If you didn't ask, we wouldn't talk about it. LTC, in my opinion, is going to do one of two things by the end of October. One of two. First, we will see a 3.5x move going up to about $400 by the end of October. We'll move up here. We'll consolidate for a month or so, and then going into the end of the year, going into 2026, we'll break out to new all-time highs. Or number two, we're going to say, screw that. We're going to break through the barrier. And then instead of consolidating just below the barrier, what we're going to do is we're going to break through it, and we'll find support just above it. So depending on how this plays out, how this all pans out, I want to take this high to low real quick right here, because this is the most discernible, relevant high that we have, high to low kind of pivot. I would think we either see about a 3.5x, let's just say, let's put it around a 3x to around a 4x, 3 to 4x move. Maybe at the most we see about a 5x move, okay, for Litecoin. If that happens, 3 to 5x move for Litecoin, then I would assume that from here, LTCN sees something larger than that, right? A 3x move, just to put it in perspective, though, would be right here. And a 5x move overall. This is by the end of October, right? This is what we're expecting by the end of October. And a 5x move would be up here. Okay. We're expecting something like that movement for Litecoin, therefore a more robust movement for LTCN. Now, the ratio of which we're moving is not quite 2 to 1 yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it got there. What if we did a 6 to an 8x for LTCN and we saw new relative highs here? What if LTCN saw the biggest move that it's seen this whole damn cycle, that it's seen since this cycle here? What if we saw that by the end of October? And if not by the end of October, certainly by the end of the year, I would expect that we're up here. But something that's at a minimum, I would think, based on Litecoin, at a minimum, you're going to be around $30 to $52. You're at $10 now by the end of this month of October. So all the people who bought, who have held, who've been in the pain, get ready. It's coming. By it, I mean the sick gains. By it, I mean 1, 2, 3, ABC correction is over. We're breaking out. We're continuing with the trend here, okay? If you think of this as an ABC correction, that means this was your first wave up. This is your second wave down. Your third wave is typically the biggest wave. We should see a bigger move now going into the end of the year and beyond than we did in the first half of this bull market, okay? The question that might be coming to your guys' minds right now is, when is it a good time to sell these trusts? Because I'm sure you're aware, and if you're not aware, let's make you aware. Sure, you're aware that last cycle, LTCN topped off here on the 20th of November, 2020. That's pretty damn early, considering that Litecoin itself didn't top off until May of 2021. So November, December, January, February, March, April, May. That's 6 months. That's 6 months. LTCN topped off 6 months ahead of schedule. And actually, it was at the end of November, so let's say 5 months. 5 months ahead of the schedule. I'm pretty sure it is 5 months. We've done this before. Now, on the bright side, the bear market didn't start until the actual bear market began for Litecoin, for the underlying asset. So you still had time to get out. But if you're trying to time that top, if you're, imagine this, okay? Imagine you sold your LTCN here or here, and then you put it into LTC in that same time frame, which would have been the end of November. That would have been here, right? Imagine that you sold even at the low point there, you still would have had a lot of growth. Probably you'd had a lot more growth here. Let's actually look at this. Let's go from the top of this range to the very high. That's an overall almost 5x, 4.8x move. And if you sold the absolute low, the best chance you would have had would have been a 2x move, right? So not financial advice, not a financial advisor. I'm not telling anybody what to do. Do what you want to do. But the smart idea here might be that as we get toward the end of the cycle, which we're getting there, you transfer out of your GrayScale trust and put it into the underlying asset, which I'm assuming is exactly what all the PP sales, all the private placement holders, and the GrayScale trust themselves will be doing. They'll be selling their shares because they're at a massive premium for the underlying asset, because we all know that likely these trusts will top off before the underlying asset. But I want to finish it with this thought. This was 5 months in advance compared to LTC, right? It was topped off 5 months in advance. I think this cycle around it's going to be less than that. I don't think it'll be a 5 months in advance. So I expect Litecoin to top off in April or May, maybe June, somewhere in that kind of 3 months. Okay, right there. Something in that time frame, April, May, or June in Q2. I would think then that LTCN tops off in Q1. Maybe January, maybe February, maybe March, maybe. So in any of those kind of time frames, where we are in Q1 will really dictate, I should say where we are by the end of Q4 will really dictate what the prospects are here. But what's great about this, again, this thought for anybody who might have just been doing this, let's take it a step further, right? From a high to a low, you're looking at your LTCN and you're running the numbers, right? You got your fibs on there, or you're just watching me do it and you're like, okay, so we're probably going to go, we're going to do at least a 9, 10x by the end of the cycle, if not a 21x by the end of the cycle. That's what I'm expecting, something like that, right? By the end of the cycle for LTCN, we'll be here at a minimum, we'll be here, right? You're looking at this and thinking, oh, cool, I can get a 10x. Oh, cool, I can get a 22x. That's great. Maybe it goes higher to new all-time highs, and if this does become an ETF, it will go to new all-time highs, absolutely. I don't know if we'll see new all-time highs if it's not an ETF, just because, again, selling off early, but we'll see. It depends on how fast Litecoin moves. We'll see. We'll know a lot better by the end of this month, and we'll be talking about these Grayscale trusts a little bit more as they gain some relevance, and I think they will. Again, I think things like Zcash and then GrayScale being mentioned in there are gonna ramp up things for GrayScale, and then the premiums gaining in this massive alt season. Like imagine alt season's going on, altcoins are rallying, and then you have a Grayscale trust which is rallying even harder, right? Like it's a way to amplify your gains. I think they're going to gain some attention here. It's very possible that by the end of the season for LTCN, you are at new all-time highs and even beyond. But let's just keep it at a minimum standard. Again, the thought here, you're thinking in your head, oh, a 10x to a 22x, that's great, that's fun, I'm happy with that. You could take that and amplify it, right? What if you get another 4x? Or let's say you don't time it perfectly. Let's say you buy the high, because I measured from the high, and let's say you don't sell the high, but you sell a relative low point. That's still a 2x, right? You could probably, and I don't want to put any ideas in anybody's head, but at the same time I do, you could probably easily 2x your money if you swapped your LTCN for LTC, even at unideal times, let alone more. So you could turn that 20x into a 40x. Yeah, that's what that would be. That's what that would be, because you take these gains and you would double it. A 2x from here would be all the way up here. And notice how that goes from a 22x to a 44x right there. You know what I mean? Like it would double it. It would double it. So not financial advice, not a financial advisor, just a thought. When you do think about selling out of your Grayscale trusts because you think that they've topped off or they're at a relative high point, think about rotating it into the underlying asset, because likely the underlying asset will run for months longer, if not at the very least weeks, probably over a month longer than the Grayscale trust will. I hope that's some good thoughts. Now, don't expect the same special treatment for all of these ones, right? We're going to go to BCHG now. Now that we've gotten that kind of underlying fundamental thought that I have for Grayscale trust out of the way, we're not going to go as in depth. I'm not going to repeat the same things for this. You guys obviously understand what I'm saying here. I would hope so. I can say it again if it helps drill it home, but I hope I'm inspiring some thoughts, right? And if that's too much work, if you just want to take your money and run, there's nothing wrong with that, right? But just what I would say, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, what I would say is if you sell your Grayscale trust and you don't take it upon yourself to buy the underlying assets afterward and make that little play, which might be easy, it might not. Maybe it bites you in the ass this time. You never know. There's nothing wrong with taking your money and running. But if that's what you're going to do, don't you dare FOMO the highs. Don't you dare do it. Don't you freaking dare do it. Don't you ruin, man, you've been patient. You've been forcefully patient for so long. Don't, once things go good, don't mess up, and instead of swapping at the right moment, buy the highs or like FOMO in at the top. Okay? Just make your bed and lay in it, whatever your decision is that you want to make. BCHG with a clear ABC correction as well. Faultless, flawless, perfect. Finding support at prior resistance points here. It's actually a very well-structured chart. And clearly you are breaking out of this downtrend. Clearly you have. You're just waiting for the breakout. You're just like BCH, right? Except on a much larger scale for BCH. You've just broken out of this downtrend. You're waiting for, you've broken out. You're waiting for the breakout move now, though, right? That's what's happening. Same thing with BCHG. And BCHG here, if we look at this last week, you moved up 12%, which is nice. BCH itself is up 7%. So hey, look at that. That's almost a 2-to-1 ratio right there, guys. What did BCH hit on Friday? We're a little bit down since Friday, in all fairness, but let's do this here. Let's do this here. Sunday was not the beginning, it was Monday. That was the beginning. So right here to Friday, it was 9%. 9% versus 12%. That's not bad. It's not quite 2-to-1, but it's good. I can only imagine that when BCH does its thing, BCHG will do its thing and then some, right? It will probably grow more than BCH does. If BCH grows 100%, BCHG will grow at least 150% or more, probably more. That's my thought. What's BCH going to do? Shout out to the Dragon Riders out there, by the way, and shout out to the Paper Dragons. That's what you are. If you're investing in BCHG, you are a Paper Dragon, technically. But that's okay. Shout out to the Paper Dragons. It's actually very anti Satoshi white paper, but nonetheless, love no matter what. Make your money. And then when you make your money, put it in the right things, you know, put it in the underlying asset. Again, and we haven't talked about this in a while because it's actually been something that I feel like it's been painfully ingrained in the Grayscale Trust people. But all this time back here, consistently, people were asking me, why don't you invest in the Grayscale Trust? And I dabbled a little bit. I dabbled real quick, got in and out. I just don't feel safe in them. And the reason why, it's not that I don't feel safe in the Grayscale Trust. The reason why is that I feel less safe than I do in the underlying asset. That's my thoughts. And I said it consistently throughout all this time because you guys continue to ask me. And now the point's proven. The point's valid, but I'm going to say it anyways. That the reason why I, as a person, do not invest in Grayscale Trusts instead of the underlying asset is I can own the underlying asset. When you own the Grayscale Trust, you own a derivative. It's not the same thing. And anytime derivatives come into play, whatever it might be, whether it's leverage trading, whether it's options, whether it's Grayscale Trusts or ETFs, when you have any kind of derivative, there's added risk implied. And we're in crypto, there's already enough risk. Let's try not to add the risk. We're going to get enough gains already. Let's try not to add to the risk. That's my thoughts. If you do it right, you can come out on top. But again, the primary reason is that with this, you have a company, Grayscale. You have a CEO. You have a board. You have people, human beings, who can mess things up. With this, it's just code. Nobody's going to mess it up. There's only going to ever be 21 million Bitcoin Cashes. It's just code. It's faultless. Faultless. Anyways, the point remains, I think, a bit more obvious now, or has become a bit more obvious because a lot of this selling came from private placement sales. We're all aware of that at this point, right? And this is not something that Bitcoin Cash had to endure. Mind you, it was not going through the most bullish phase of its existence either. It was pretty stagnant, but in comparison to all the growth versus all the decay, Bitcoin Cash is more or less neutral. So, you know, tomato, tomato, whatever. All I'm trying to say here, though, is going forward, I do expect these Grayscale Trusts to outperform the underlying assets. I do. But again, I'm not investing in them personally because of that human element. I invest in crypto specifically because of the lack of the human element. That's why I like Onyx Coin. People are like, we don't know who's behind the DAO. Good. We don't know who created Bitcoin either. It's probably good, because if it comes out that the person that created this is some kind of sicko, some kind of fraudulent fraudster, not someone to be trusted, someone who doesn't know what they're doing, any kind of piece that gets put on them that would negatively impact the project, good. We don't have that now. The human element is taken away. It's actually a good thing. It's actually a good thing. The human element is not typically a good thing when it comes to investments, because humans make mistakes that have nothing to do with their investments, and yet it impacts their investments, right? The CEO of GrayScale gets caught in a money laundering fraud, and then, you know what I mean? That's what happens. Even if it's not related to GrayScale, it's just his own stuff. I don't know. Anyways, moving on. High to low here. Fully expecting that BCH goes higher, so I would expect the BCHG does as well. My expectation at a bare ass minimum is $1,800, $1,800. That's a 3x from here. Okay, that's my bare minimum. As far as my maximum goes, I don't know, guys. Like my maximum, we could be at new all-time highs by the end of this month of October. Genuinely, Bitcoin, genuinely, I'm not saying that. I mean it. Bitcoin Cash, I mean it because, guys, we don't know what we're dealing with. We don't know what we're dealing with. I said those exact same words about Zbeck. Right? And shout out to Rob, shout out to Crypto Future for putting this on everyone's map. I would have never heard of it if it wasn't for him. I'm not the one that discovered this. I like to give credit where credit's due. But whenever we were down here and we came all the way up here, I said the same thing. I'm like, when we break out of this, I don't know what we're going to deal with. It could be you can move up to your all-time high. Maybe you just see an extension based off of this move here and you stop somewhere just below your all-time high. Or you could go right through the freaking roof. We don't know what we're dealing with. That was a 10x move in a month. The last time I said these words that I'm talking about with Bitcoin Cash, I don't know. None of us know what we're dealing with. We're in new territory that we've never been in before without even seeing new all-time highs. We could genuinely see this thing be at new all-time highs by the end of October. If you don't think that that's possible, you're not paying attention to the massive phase that we're breaking out of right now and what that means. So the minimum's a 3x. The maximum, I don't know. Let's try and be fair. Let's try and use data to help us, okay? From a high to a low here, we're not going to take the fake out low. If we go above here, we'd like to go just above the 2272, maybe something like this right there. Right. If we go above the 2272, we'd likely stop at the 2618. Could we go higher? Absolutely we could, but let's just stay a little bit grounded. 3x at a minimum, let's say a 6x, almost a 6x, 5.8x at a maximum, okay? With a 4x in the middle there. 3x, 5.8x, and a 4.3x. Well, BCHG, is that right? I think that's right. A 3x, which you're not going to see, because if Bitcoin Cash does a 3x, you're going to do more, would put you here. So let's assume you do 0.5 more than that, right? You do a 1.5x more. So instead of a 3x, you see a, would that be a 4.5x then? Am I doing my math right? I think I'm doing my math right. So then let's put that line here maybe. If Bitcoin Cash does a 4.3x, which it could right here, 4.3x, BCHG likely does more than that. Let's just say a 5x, 5.5x. I'm not doing the math, I'm just trying to add it up here. And if Bitcoin Cash does a, what is that, a 5.8x overall? Yeah, like a 5.8x. BCHG might then do like a 7x or more, right? And these are conservative estimates. These are very conservative estimates. Statistically speaking, I should say the probability lies with the idea that BCHG will see new highs respective to this. So taking away the measurements here, the very conservative estimations of accelerated growth that we'll get with the BCHG pairing versus BCH, I would say screw this noise, screw the conservative estimating, let's just look at the fibs. Right? Because the fibs suggest $45. Their conservative estimating suggests things that are at our relative highs and just below this. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw BCHG, you guys, at about a 9.5x or more from its current price by the end of October. And if I'm being honest, if any of the LTCN people are feeling left out, let me tell you, if BCHG is going to do this and it has the exact same chart formation that LTCN has, I would then assume that LTCN does the same thing. I'll tell you one thing, I'm very confident in this right now. I'm very confident in this. Very similar chart formation. Perhaps by the end of October, LTCN is worth $100. All the way at prior support, right at your 1272, and that wouldn't be crazy at all. Again, like I was saying, the biggest move that we've seen this cycle, stuff like this, right? It wouldn't surprise me. Now, if we're anywhere lower, don't boo-hoo. It's okay. We'll get there. I would be shocked. I'd be absolutely shocked if BCHG was not at least at this high, if not well beyond it, by the end of this month of October. I'd be shocked. I would be shocked if BCHG was not at a 4.7x or more by the end of October from its current valuation of $4.84. I'd be utterly, completely shocked. What if an ETF gets approved, C-Zar? Okay, no, that's a great question. That is a great question. First off, I'm pretty sure BCHG is on a discount, right? Its NAV price, it's on a discount from its NAV price. So if I'm expecting BCH to at least go to this high and probably above it, right? We're probably going to go well, but honestly, I'm expecting that BCH probably goes to about like, I don't know, man, 2,500. We'll see. 2,000, I would expect. That's a 3.3x. 3.3x. If BCH does a 3.3x, BCHG then would do the same. It'd be right up here. So even if an ETF happens, actually, it's not as bullish as I thought it would be, but you're still going to $16. And probably a little bit more because you have to make up for the loss that you have the discount on your NAV price there. But something around $16, $20, something in that area there. Even if an ETF happens for any of these trusts, you're still going to see growth because the underlying assets are going to grow. So let's finish this up with HZEN. It's Zen, yeah. Horizen. Horizen. Wow. 48% pump. Nice. And yet, all you've seen is a 28% pump on the GrayScale. What's happening here? And it's not that you continue to pump on Friday either. I don't know. %83 overall. Nowhere near that. I'm kind of curious as to why HZEN did not pump that much. Maybe it's because there's not enough demand. I don't know though. You look like you're in an accumulative phase here. It looks like there's a lot of demand as far as like the volume goes. I wouldn't worry about it. It's weird. Let's just be fair. It's weird, but we're going to run it with the same ideas that we had for BCHG and LTCN. That whatever the underlying asset does, the GrayScale trust will likely amplify. Okay. When you look at this chart overall, you are in this giant, like, double bottom kind of pattern. I love double bottoms like this where there's a nice cup. You've got an M in the middle. You come around like that. I love that. It's like a giant W with an M in the middle. It's a very bullish configuration. It tells me that you're probably going to see prices above this. Now, by the end of October, maybe. By the end of the year, probably. Which is crazy if you think about it. You're not even at $1. We're talking about something that'll do 11x or more, likely, by the end of this year. I mean, we're in the final quarter right now. That's pretty crazy. We have less than a whole quarter left in the year to go. Pretty crazy. ZEN clearly showing some life. It's been accumulating. Let's say it's accumulating. I think that it has been accumulating. From a high here to a low there, you hit your golden ratio perfectly, came all the way back down, holding the 069, showing respect, which is nice to see. I do expect that we're going to see this thing go to new relative highs. You're probably going to see it 4x or more. Now, is this by the end of October? I don't know. I would think so, but maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Time will tell. What's Horizen's market cap at? Nope. It's a pretty low market cap, you guys. It's actually a very low market cap. And I was looking at some fundamental values for HZEN or for Horizen the other day. They're definitely building. They're definitely doing some things. Checking out their X page and stuff like that. Oh, sorry. I had some bad food last night. It was really good food, but it was bad for me. Too much seasonings, man. We over seasoned it, and it's made me sick actually. But enough about me. Hold on, okay. I'm almost done, okay. Oh. So she's not upset. She's not upset because I'm making videos. She's upset because she just stepped on her fireplace, and I think she like hurt her foot. That's what I think I just saw there. She's not upset that I said hold on. She was like okay, and then she had a weird step on the stone here. Anyways, I would show you guys, but I don't care to, just to like show you. Like it's got like this. It's like the fireplace has this stone ledge to it, and she just like imagine putting your bare foot on the edge of a stone and like it rubbing. That's not fun. That's what just happened. Anyways, that's my 3.5-year-old. She's okay. She's okay. But ZEN here, I would think it continues to move up. Let's go with the minimum expected targets. Now, as far as timing, I'm not as convinced with it. I would think by the end of October, you're at least here, if not higher. But I would think by the end of October, you're at $45 or higher. So that's a 4.6x. Then I would think that HZEN sees something greater than a 4.6x, probably at least to a magnitude of like or a multiple of 1.5x, right? So if you're getting a 4.6x, 1.5x times 4.6x would be 6.9. Let's just say a 7x. Am I doing my math right? I don't know. 7x would put you all the way up at like $6.28. We could see something back up around these areas by the end of October. And if not, if I'm wrong, cool. You'll get there inevitably. You will get there inevitably. Maybe you're at a lesser area. But I can't imagine that you break out of this for realsies this time and that you don't see something that's kind of explosive. And then HZEN would also get a piece of that. Inevitably, yes, I think that HZEN is going to go a lot higher. I would think that HZEN has potentially even more promise than BCHG or LTCN does. The 1272 here, for example, is at a 24x, where the other two are at about a 9x. You got a lot of potential there. Just because these numbers are here doesn't mean you have to hit them, but I think you do. I think you do by the end of the cycle. Maybe as high as a 71x by the end of the cycle, maybe more. Time will tell. It really does depend on ZEN. And ZEN has not really proven itself this cycle yet. It's been interesting. It's got a lot of interesting prospects to it, but will we see new all-time highs? That remains to be seen. If we're not at our golden ratio by the end of October, if we're here by the end of the year, it's quite possible that we don't see new all-time highs by the end of this cycle, which is fine, but that'll hurt the performance of HZEN. If we're at the golden ratio or higher by the end of October, if we're at our all-time high area or higher by the end of the year, I mean, this thing in itself could easily see a 45x. It could easily see a 150x overall. And depending on when HZEN tops off, I mean, that reflected in the price, you guys, we could see $151 valuations and beyond, no problem. But it just depends on what we do. I think by the end of October, we're going to have a lot of clarity for what coins are going to see new all-time highs and what coins are not this cycle. What to expect by the end of the year, and thus the end of the cycle as well. The end of the year is not the end of the cycle. It'll just be easier as we get to these key kind of milestones to figure out what the overall expectation is. Anyways, I don't have anything else for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, hit the like button. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I shaved my head because Ethan is my inspiration. Shout out to Ethan. I think everybody who's watching this video probably knows who Ethan Gallstad is, but shout out to Ethan and the E-Gang. Everybody needs to shave their heads, especially the ladies. I'll see you guys on the next one. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.